Okay.
So we started cleaning up the finish on this Martin, and we're using Meguiar's number 4 to try to get the scum off the top of it. So just for fun, I've cleaned this side of the guitar on this side of the neck, but haven't cleaned on this side of the neck. And in this area, from where my hand is now to the dovetail, I was able to pull up this much crud off the surface, and you can definitely see the difference between the cleaned side versus the non-cleaned side. So we're very hopeful that once we get all of the surfaces decontaminated, that the finish below will be good enough to look nice and still be durable and that whole 9 yards. But yeah, so pretty significant difference, eh?
Tilt it just a little more.
Sure.
Well, thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, and then just for fun, this is what the soundboard looks like now. This is after I rubbed it with some Meguiar's number 4. And again, a huge amount of filth.
Going through a lot of rags.
Yep, going through a lot of rags. But definitely looks significantly better than it did before we cleaned it.
Well, when we first started looking at this guitar, we weren't sure this was the original bridge. After we removed it, it never looked like it had been replaced, so it kind of seemed original. But these bolts that were in the wings of the bridge really made it kind of suspicious. Now, after having looked at photos on the internet of other 0018s from this era of the late 1920s, we realized this was the original bridge, and somebody just added a couple of nuts and bolts on the wings to stabilize it at some point. So I'm going to make a new bridge for it because we don't want these holes. I'll use the same footprint and pretty much the same design. I think the only thing is I will make the saddle slot just a little bit wider so we can compensate the bass strings a little bit more, because right now there is absolutely no compensation on this, and we're really looking to come up with a playable guitar. This one's pretty beat up. It's not like it's going to sit in a museum somewhere. So complete accuracy is not as important as playability. So by making the saddle slot just a little bit wider, I'll be able to angle the saddle backward a little bit toward the bass strings and provide some compensation. So hopefully intonation will be pretty good. I've got a block of ebony here that I've roughed out to the dimensions. It's a little big still, but this is what I'm going to use to make the new bridge. Here's the new bridge slot. The old one, the saddle is about 90 thousandths of an inch wide, a little less than 3/32 of an inch, and this one is 1/8 of an inch. So that is right around 3 millimeters, which means if I have the string break on the treble side right at the very front edge of the saddle and then taper it so that the bass string is breaking at the very back edge of the saddle, I'll have about 3 millimeters of compensation, which is pretty standard on most steel string guitars. So I think intonation will be okay with this. I used double-sided tape to stick the old bridge onto the new bridge and drill the 6 bridge pin holes. So there they are. And now it's time to shape the wings. Okay, here's the new bridge. Here's the old bridge. Not much difference. The new one is a little taller, thicker, because we did a neck reset on the guitar, and so the bridge has to be higher. But pretty much the same size otherwise. And now I'm just going to buff this to make the ebony nice and shiny, and then we'll be ready to get it onto the guitar. We're finally ready to glue the bridge on. So Jeff is just cleaning up the gluing surface area. Then we will put this new bridge onto the guitar. This little block goes inside and butts up against the bridge plate to give us some strength for the gluing surface. And then of course the bridge sits above the soundboard, also on top of the bridge plate. All right, start gluing. So we're using hide glue because it's historically accurate and it glues the bridge pretty nicely. We taped up all the holes for the bridge pins other than the two E strings because we're using that to help align the bridge. Guess I should have test fitted that.
There we go. I'll let you hold that.
All right.
And I'm just going to take a little bit of sandpaper and create a little grit there.
And that's supposed to help keep the bridge from sliding around, you say?
That's what they say.
Okay. All right. We'll hold that for a minute till the glue catches, and then pull out those pins. Pull the pins. Finger under there. Okay. That's a little bit snug.
Okay.
Take the knees down. And there we go.
Bob's your uncle.
I did have an Uncle Bob. All right. That's it.
Excellent.
Now in a couple minutes we'll take off the tape and scrape away any excess glue that the tape didn't catch. And that's that. Yay.
Look at that.
Wow.